you guys build something that feels natural and organic and feels easy, because the best sale is the one that you feel good about selling and they feel good about buying. That's the best sale. Couple things about us. Just, we believe CrossFit is the best thing to ever happen in the fitness industry, and we're committed to doing everything possible to make affiliates of premier gyms around the world. And that's our number one core value right there. Affiliates first. If it's not good for you, then we don't touch it. It doesn't even warrant a conversation. I still own my affiliate. For 15 years I've had that affiliate. I don't plan on getting rid of it anytime soon. And we run everything through that. It's our little kind of like laboratory that we run everything through just to vet it and say, is this a good thing or not? And then we'll roll it out after that. Couple of things what we do. Worked with a ton of affiliates. We custom design business and coach development strategies for you guys. Coached over 10,000 athletes over the past 20 years, 500 affiliate owners. We've coached 7 affiliates between Jay and Marcus and I. All that really means, guys, is that this is what we do, this is what we love, and we've made a ton of mistakes en route, and we want to help all of you avoid making those mistakes. And more importantly, we want to build things that align with the CrossFit community. That's the most important thing to us. Okay, when you guys I always say it's like the zebra effect. Zebras see zebras and they're like, that's a zebra. And then something else comes in and you're like, this is definitely not a zebra. And when somebody introduces an idea into the CrossFit space that doesn't feel correct, everybody knows. Okay, so when we design things, we're like, hey, I want it to feel and smell and taste like CrossFit. We are part of the affiliate network, CEUs, if you're integrated, either you and your coaches. So if you're trying to up-level your credentials, you absolutely should be doing that. And then you can keep those credentials up to speed when you're working with us. A little bit about my journey. Started in 2007, opened CrossFit Rife. That's that top left picture. I leave that one up there. It's a horrible picture, right? The reason I put it up there is because there's so many GHDs in that gym. And the gym was like 3,000 square feet, maybe 2,000 square feet of usable floor space, and had 5 GHDs. One of the many, many mistakes I made when I first opened my affiliate, right? If you have 5 GHDs, they're great. You should probably sell 4 of them, okay? Right. Now, before we get into the sales piece, I do want to set some groundwork here. And because before we get into the strategic aspect of sales, we do have to lay the groundwork and talk about some principles, right? So think about some of the CrossFit principles that you already know. And we'll start with this. So the affiliate pyramid. So if we look at that left pyramid there, that is the theoretical hierarchy for the development of an athlete. So it starts with nutrition, then it goes metabolic conditioning, gymnastics, weightlifting, and throwing, and then sport at the top. The correlating pyramid to that is on the right-hand side. Sales is at the bottom, operations, marketing, service, and coaching, and at the top is impact, okay? All of those correlate because they match that left pyramid perfectly, right? So nutrition is just like sales, right? Quality and quantity matter when we're talking about sales, okay? Operations, just like Metcon. It's the monotonous stuff that you gotta do if you wanna do this well, but it's not sexy, okay? Marketing, that's like gymnastics. Everybody knows they do it, but it's super complex, so you just avoid it altogether. Okay? Weightlifting, coaching, everybody says they're really good at weightlifting. Few of us are actually good at it. Same thing kind of in the coaching. So like, we have the best coaches ever. And it's like, yeah, but we could probably all be a little bit better. Okay. And at the top, this is the important one, sport. Usually we replace that with you when we're teaching this in the seminar setting, but at the top of that is impact. All right, I brought this up before, but that font right there, CrossFit, that happens to be impact. I don't know if that means anything, but it's cool. When we say impact, we're talking about 3 people. We're talking about you, all of you sitting here as affiliate owners. We're talking about the people that you interact with, your clients, and your coaching staff. When you do this correctly, you have a positive impact on all 3 of those. At which point one of them is being underserved, things start to break. And we have to build it such that all 3 people get what they want. So if I understand that, then I can talk about the next piece, because I do get some pushback on this. They're like, hey, sales is not the most important thing. We're in the impact business. And I said, I'm not disagreeing with that. You've not found a bigger CrossFit zealot than me. Okay? Literally everything I do in my life is CrossFit centric. Sales is not the most important thing. It does create the most stability inside of your business. Okay? And that pyramid doesn't mean that sales is the most important thing where you spend the most of your time. It just means it's the base. You'll spend a lot of time going through different components of that pyramid depending on what it is that you're working on as an affiliate owner, right? Sometimes the priority will be service. Sometimes it'll be marketing. Sometimes it'll be operations, just like in training. Hey, you get pretty strong? Cool. Your gymnastics is a little bit weak. You're going to focus there and you're going to start to fix that up. Now, when we think about this, You guys are probably familiar with that Venn diagram there on the left. We usually talk about that one in the What is Fitness lecture, where you've got 3 sports over there. The overlapping area in the middle is fitness. If I think about how could I start to do cursory assessments on the affiliate, and I just use 3 components of it, marketing, coaching and service, and then operations, right? That overlapping area in the middle, that's where greatness lies. I need to have that overlapping area in the middle, because if one of those circles is completely off kilter and outside, then I don't have cohesion in between systems and marketing and how I design sales in order to create the proper message that Dan was talking about to serve all the people that I want to serve. Okay? And the beauty about this Venn diagram is all of you can look at that one on the left and you can look at that one on the right, and you can very quickly identify which one of those you're probably strong or weak at. Is that fair? Raise your hand if you immediately look at that one on the right and you're like, I know what I'm good at. What if you're like, oh, I don't really want to talk about one of them though? Right, okay. Just like we talk about in fitness, that's probably the one that we should start addressing. That leads into the 50-50 model. This was really important. For those people that showed up to the social yesterday, I addressed this. Most affiliate owners are prioritizing their time and attention on things that long-term are not beneficial, okay? What I mean by that is many of them are spending far too much time and attention on leads, marketing, and this is not me saying that that is not a thing, okay? Everything inside of your business starts with a sale, okay? I'm not saying sales is not important. You literally cannot have a functioning affiliate unless you sell something, okay? I am here to tell you, the right side, that 50% over there, that's where the leverage is at, okay? Everything on the left side, the marketing, the sales, the operations, those should be built and optimized to support the right side of the pie, okay? But if you want to have a great, long-standing business, make no mistake, you cannot do that without optimizing and maximizing the service, okay? Which begs the question, what is your service? What do people buy from you? Your coaching and your programming comprise your service, right? Think about this like a restaurant, right? The end product is the food. The service is the person who delivers it, okay? You could run a pretty solid restaurant if you have great food. You know what makes a 5-star restaurant? The person that brings you the really good food. It's the experience, okay? When we're talking about your service, what Denise is talking about over there, this is how you start to really leverage systems and marketing and these other things, is you gotta have fantastic people on the floor, changing people's lives and making it fun. So if we are not pushing our coaching staff to go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to eventually to level 4, this is a long-term strategic error, okay? And if people are like, yeah, it doesn't matter if they have a level 2, level 3, level 4, whatever. Listen, my spirit animal is over there giving a talk right now, okay? Would you rather have her teach your class or Bob at your gym? Not a trick question. I'm pretty sure you'd take DT. And that's the point, right? If you don't think that that matters, you're high, okay? You're delusional about how important the person that delivers the methodology is in this whole thing, okay? So if you want to be great at this, you have to be fantastic at facilitating the methodology, because when you're really good at it, it's really easy to ask for things like referrals. And then sales becomes very easy. How many of you have purchased something on a recommendation from another person? Raise your hand. Cool. Like 80% of purchases happen on a recommendation, by the way. Doesn't matter what you're buying. Somebody else is like, this is really good, you should buy it. You're like, okay, I'll go buy it, right? Gyms are no different. And you do that when people are like, yo, our gym is amazing. Like the coaches are fantastic. They fixed my squat. I used to squat like this, right? And now I squat with my heels roughly shoulder width apart. And you're like, it's amazing. Okay. You have to master that. Now, why do most affiliate owners hate sales? Right? How many of you may not dislike sales, but when we talk about sales, you're like, ugh, you get a little uneasy in your seat, right? Raise your hand if that's you. It's cool, right? Most of us, right? Because you didn't open your affiliate because you're like, I can't wait to sell people things, right? You're like, I want to change people's lives, right? Was that actually probably what you said when you opened your affiliate? For sure. You didn't think about sales until you got your business license, and then you signed the lease, and you're like, oh shit, I probably got to sell something, right? Here's why people struggle with sales. It feels creepy when you lack clarity in these areas. I don't know why that says 5, it's 4. Your mission, the sales process, the value that you provide, or not knowing what the customer wants. When you lack clarity in those 4 areas, this is when sales feels very sticky, right? It feels very filled with friction and you don't feel good about it. But if you're clear on those things, sales becomes very fun. Because how many of you know for a fact that you can change somebody's life or lives if they come into your gym? Raise your hand if you're like, I'll change people's lives. Cool. Then what's the problem? Then why are you afraid to sell them a membership? It is probably because of lack of clarity in one or multiple of those 4 things. Okay? Because you already know what the outcome is here. Right? You're sitting here because something profound happened to you and you started CrossFit and then you open an affiliate. And for whatever reason, we lack clarity here and then we struggle to hand that off to other people. All right? So we're going to walk through how we go about doing that. So these are the 7 steps. Okay? Finding your brand heroes, analyzing your competitors and understand your market, develop your unique value proposition, optimizing your core membership, establishing your sales process, utilizing testimonials and social proof, and then implement and optimize for a follow-up strategy. Okay? That's a 7-step process that we're going to work through. So, number 1, find your brand heroes. Your brand heroes are your most important clients. Okay? How many of you can think of a person right now that is a member at your gym and if I could just replicate that person 100 times, I'd be the happiest gym owner on planet Earth, right? They pay their membership on time every month. They show up on time. They don't complain about what workout that you're using, right? They never ask you, hey, what equipment should I bring for the workout that day, right? They just show up and they're like, I'm happy to be here, coach. And I'm like, God, I love you, Carrie. Can you just never leave, right? I want more of those. So we have to identify those people. So how do I go about finding my brand heroes? To identify them, there's kind of 2 big buckets. Am I looking at beginners or seasoned athletes? You got to understand your audience's demographic, interests, and what are their fitness goals. How many of you, they're like, hey, my ideal client is competing for the CrossFit Games? Probably not, right? Probably not. So if we know that, then we can think about how do I start to find these people, right? Now you can conduct surveys, focus groups, and all that other kind of stuff. Most of us don't have the time or bandwidth for that, so here's the easy one. Take those people that you love, take them out to coffee, and interview them. Ask them why they started CrossFit, why they stay. What do they like about it? What were they scared about, right? Start asking them those questions. So if you think about your ideal clients, A, B, and C, which one is it for you? That one on the left over there, that's Joy. She's had 3 kids at our gym. Not physically at the gym, but she got pregnant 3 times and had kids at our gym. Justin got out of the Navy. He was a rescue swimmer. He's a welder now. That dude just likes to lift weights and he competes like 5-7 times a month. I don't know. He just likes to compete. He's also a coach and he coaches for me regularly. Nellie, she is my longest standing client. She's been with me for 14 and a half years. Twice retired, breast cancer survivor. And I owe her a lot. Because she's seen me be the worst version of an affiliate owner ever, right? Sometimes I'm like, hey, I don't know why you stayed around, but I'm really happy you did. Okay. If you think about that, you probably have one of those people in mind. Now here's the kicker. You can have all 3 of those people be your ideal client, by the way. You don't have to pick just one of them. Because I'm very fond of all 3 of those people. And they're fantastic members. But I just need to know what my ideal client looks like and who they are so that I can speak to them appropriately. Again, 3 questions you should ask them when you interview them. Why did you reach out? What prompted you to fill out that form on our website and contact me about getting started? Okay. What was your first impression? Was it fear? Right? Was it reservation? Were you just ready to go? Did somebody else tell you to join? Find out why. And then why did you stay? Right? Because these are people that have probably been with you for a long time. What was it about this place, these coaches, these other people that keep you coming back for 10, 13 years? And then you use their words when you create content. If they say certain phrases, use those phrases because those are the people that you want to replicate. Right? Hey, I stayed because the coaches helped me with my knee pain. You think there's other people out there with knee pain? Okay, let's use those words. Hey, I was afraid, but the coaches were very welcome to me and they tailored all the workouts to me. Use that exact phrase when you are creating content. Number 2, analyze your competitors and understand why other boxes, and I was glad Dan brought that up, why other boxes are not your competitors. Do some sort of competitor analysis. This doesn't mean you're gonna copy and paste, but I do need to understand what the market will bear, and this is really important. Okay? So what I would like to avoid doing when I start my business up and I come up with my prices is do the old look right, look left, take that number that gym is charging, take that number that gym is charging, and pick the number in between so that I just fall somewhere in the market. Okay? I do need to know what the market will bear though, because I vehemently disagree that you're like, oh, we can just charge people whatever. I'm charging them $600 a month for personal training. I'm like, you can, maybe. Good luck. Okay? I've been doing this a long time. There's a few of those hanging around. Okay? So I do need to understand what the market will bear. Okay? That doesn't mean I just look at that other gym and I do what they do. Okay? It's called an informed decision. And then identify the gaps. Look for services or offers that people are not currently providing. Okay, so if there's a niche in there that you want to own that space, then go own that space. This is really important. What is our competition as affiliate owners, right? By and large, it is to some degree these other brands, because they're kind of knockoffs on CrossFit to some degree, right? They're similar price points. They're doing something that kind of looks like CrossFit, but just like a really crappy version of it. But ultimately, it's misinformation. It's the food pyramid. Right? It's sloth, it's decrepitude, right? That's our actual competition, right? So people are like, hey, CrossFit's intimidating. That's the competition. That idea is the competition, not the gym down the road, because this is how most of us think about everything, right? You're like, that gym down the street's really messing me over. I'm like, nope, it's not, right? It's a story that we tell ourselves, but it's not true. And listen, maybe gym really terrible CrossFit, maybe it's real. But the likelihood is it's not. Okay. Right? We have to understand the market and then we have to uniquely place ourselves there to do that. And once we get past this, everything gets better. Can we all agree that more CrossFits is better for everybody? Yes. I would even contend that CrossFit done poorly is better for everybody. So let's just move on with that plan at the very least. I'm not suggesting we do CrossFit poorly, by the way. Do it well. Actual market considerations you need to look at, right? What's a mean income within your relative radius? Meaning like, hey, what's the average income per household in a 5 to 10 mile radius? That will help you inform your decision about what pricing plans could look like. Then you're gonna take that, pair that with maybe what are some other similar type fitness programs in the area, because that will tell you what the market will bear. Real estate market, what's it gonna cost you? Where are you gonna be able to go? Population density, do you have a population of 200 people in one stoplight? Or do you live in an area that has 250,000 people? Okay? This starts to help you figure out like what's the viability of the idea. Transit routes, is it high transit to and from work to home? Are you in that route? Okay, because there's like 2 places everybody are going. They're going home and they're going to work. If you're efficiently placed in between those 2 points, you've got a better shot. And then what are the other local industries in that area, right? Is it, where I live, it's can't swing a dead cat without hitting the military base, right? So there's a lot of military personnel there, a lot of government employees, a lot of transit in and out, okay? So I know that, and I know that a lot of my population is gonna be military based. Okay, this works out. So just some considerations. Then we get to part 3, develop your unique value proposition. How do I stand out and how do I differentiate myself in a crowded market? What does that even look like? Highlight what makes you different and emphasize what the gym's aspects are that they may or may not be able to get somewhere else, okay? Is it programs or services? Is it community events? Is it amenities? Is it location? And then you create that offer based on those things, okay? So just some examples. What your unique proposition is not the best coaches and the best community, okay? It's not. Because all of you have good coaches and good community. So therefore it could not be unique. It's also abstract, if we're gonna be very honest with ourselves, right? That's how you feel about it. We have to remember, and I've said this for years, the person that is entering the CrossFit space on day one has no idea what good community means, and they have no idea if you are a good coach. Right? The assumption is that you know what you're doing because you started a business and they were paying you, okay? So we have to understand the ignorance of the end user, and again, that's not to poo-poo on them, but that's a hard one to sell because everybody's saying that. So if I know that, I can think about this differently. What actually makes me unique? What services do I offer? Are there amenities that I have that they can't find elsewhere? And then, am I going to be giving them unique access to what it is that I do? Okay. So let's look at all three of those. Services. Do you offer group classes only? Do you offer group classes and personal training? Nicole talked about nutrition. Is this something that you can offer in your space or in your industry that other people are not offering? Do you do things like youth training? Okay. Specialty programs or programming in general? I'm not suggesting that you should go start all of these programs. Okay. I am suggesting that these can be unique value propositions if one of those falls into your unique skill set and you can really differentiate yourself doing that. Okay. Amenities, right? People are getting much better at this. Okay. So think about, hey, do we have sauna, cold plunge, massage therapy? Think about one-stop shop. Can they go do all the things that I know CrossFit junkies are gonna want? Can they do it all here? Because if they can, right? And I think most CrossFit gyms in most areas are probably within a $30-ish value of each other most of the time. And Gym A is $175 per month, and Gym B is $175 per month, but Gym A has sauna, cryotherapy, massage therapist, and Gym B just has classes. You guys see how they're gonna make this buying decision, right? The one that has more value stacked inside of it, okay? So we're gonna think about things like that, and then we're gonna look at access. What does your class schedule look like? How many classes a day do you offer? Where is it physically located? 24-hour access. What kind of parking do you have available? All of these things are things of convenience. Think about little things like if you have a facility that is no left in, no left out, for those of you that own a commercial space, what that means, meaning like you cannot turn left into the facility and you cannot turn left out of the facility. That means they're gonna have to make multiple U-turns to get into your building. Okay. Little things like that matter. But here's the important thing. All of those things that I just listed up there, they have a value in time or money. That is easy to communicate. So when you're talking about what your unique value proposition is, remember, you have to be able to tie it to one of those two things. It either needs to be really easy for me to do, and it needs to have some sort of monetary value that I'd have to pay more money for somewhere else. If you can check those two boxes, the sale gets significantly easier. Okay? But if you're gonna say, hey, we have good coaches and good community, it's really hard to attach a dollar figure to that. Okay? And it's not that those things are not important. They're just really hard to sell to somebody that has no context. Okay? Once a person has context, you can leverage those things. Right? How many of you had a member that was at your gym for years, they've never been in any other CrossFit gym, and they go to another gym and they're like, yo, we gotta talk. And I'm like, what? And they're like, they didn't even warm up. I didn't even know the workout started. And I was just like, you're welcome, right? Now you know how good you got it here, right? So, but again, that has context, right? You have to think about, hey, do the things that I'm selling or the things that I'm listing, when they ask, what do I do with my membership, do they have value in time or money? Because that's what people are looking for. Part 4, optimizing your core membership. Create offers that are so good that people feel stupid saying no. They're like, man, this is a good deal. Like I should probably take advantage of this, right? Tailor the offers to your audience. Understand your target market and then develop the offer to appeal directly to that person, right? So Nicole does a good job with this HSN. They have a lot of people in that market that want nutrition coaching. So they sell nutrition coaching right up front in their face, and they do that. Okay. In our area, I have a lot of military folks that are in and out. Things like 24-hour access matter to that population, right? They're in and out of the door, right? Again, ton of deployments. I've got people that are working tons of shifts, whether they're air crew people or they're SEAL team guys or whatever, like they got funky schedules and they're like, hey, I need to be able to get in here whenever I need to. And I'm like, I got you. Now, I want you to come to class, but I got you. You can get in here when you need to. Create urgency and a little bit of scarcity around this, okay? Value stack rather than discount. What I mean by value stack, put more things in the membership rather than make it cheaper, right? So if you do have sauna, cold plunge, things like that, bring your price up a little bit, include it in there. That's a value stack. Hey, what's it cost? That's a good sales pitch, right? They're like, is it extra for the sauna and the cold plunge? I'm like, nope, you get it with the membership. They're like, oh. I'm like, yep. I'm like, I'll take your money whenever you're ready. Okay, that's a value stack. Put more things in there rather than discount it. Then you can start thinking about your monthly promotions or think, what's your outbound strategy here? Okay, so we do all sorts of exercises like this. I'm constantly refining this, but just think of a bunch of different ideas that are value stacked based and come up with rotating offers throughout the year. Hey, for the month of February, we're going to be doing free nutrition coaching to get people started, right? That's a value stack in there, okay? Hey, for March, you get 2 additional PT sessions at no cost when you join the gym, okay? So I have to think about things, again, that have value to people, and I need to make those offer on a rotating basis so that I'm constantly incentivizing people or creating intrigue about what I do, ultimately to get them into the group setting and bring them in to be part of the community, okay? So those are just some examples. There are infinite number of ways to do that, right? You could spend hours and hours on that exercise alone and come up with a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen ideas. Now, how do I optimize that? And these are 4 ways that you can do that. What types of memberships? What are your policies? Billing cycles? And then how are you structuring discounts? So membership types. I put this up here because this is most gyms. Hodgepodge, right? A motley assortment of things. I've looked under the hood of many, many CrossFit gyms. When I look at their pricing suite, it is by definition a hodgepodge, okay? I'm like, why does Bob pay $68 a month? And they're like, that's a really good question. And I'm like, you have 17 different memberships listed here. And they're like, I know. And I'm like, what are we gonna do about that? And they're like, that's why I'm here talking to you. And I'm like, all right, let's get to work, okay? But you need to fix that stuff. Whether it's limited versus unlimited, punch cards, contracts, what we need to do is we need to pick your primary offering and you need to optimize it, okay? When we're thinking about that, we're typically starting people on the simplest offering. Meaning, hey, do unlimited only, don't do limited versions, not because I have some sort of hate for limited versions. I have a hate for why people are selling limited memberships, right? Because typically they're afraid to sell their primary membership and they've unknowingly created a downsell into a less than ideal client who will very often offload before you want them to, okay? So craft an offer that speaks to your ideal client, right? Because the people that we talked about earlier, your brand heroes, are not people asking you for limited memberships. They're people like, hey, I want to be here all the time. And I'm like, I would love you to be here all the time. That'd be great. Policies, how you structure your cancellations, holds, renewals, and all that stuff. Many, many gyms create policies that unknowingly put them at a disadvantage, okay? How many of you have a hold policy at all? Raise your hand. Okay, how many have a hold policy that exceeds 6 weeks? Raise your hand. Statistically, this is an anomaly, okay? Nobody here has a hold that goes 2 or 3 months? Okay, that's what I mean. All right, it's cool. So here's my question. Where are they going for 2 or 3 months? I'll tell you where they're going. They're not coming back. I don't know where they're going, but they're not coming back, okay? And here's the thing, just like punch cards, that's just an idea that existed. Everybody's like, well, I'll just do a 3-month hold. I'm like, that's a quarter of the year, okay? It's a soft way of them telling you, I'm gonna quit here in about 3 months, okay? Because that's what happens every single time. Now, some of you are thinking like, well, nope, that happens, I've done that. And I'm like, I'm not talking about the one-offs where that is a legit thing. I'm talking about the vast majority who submit the 12-week hold are not coming back, okay? So don't offer it. We've changed our recommendation like no more than 6 weeks, right? Where are they going, right? holds, cancellations, you can build all these in to be beneficial to you. Now, I'm not suggesting you locking people into contracts. That's gross. That's not what I'm suggesting, okay? Just structure them so that they emphasize commitment to doing this thing called CrossFit, right? I always describe it as like, don't create easy off-ramps for people, right? Because we know people will take the easy off-ramp. So if you place it in front of them, don't be shocked when they take it. Billing cycles. Are you gonna do monthly? Are you gonna do every 4 weeks? Are you gonna do weekly? Are you gonna do bi-weekly? Okay? Those bottom three, they're actually all the same. Okay? And if you are gonna do a 4-week, weekly, or bi-weekly billing cycle, understand there's more revenue in that in the course of a 12-month period, right? You're gonna get 13 billing cycles. Understand that it's not just about making more money. You have additional costs in months that have more than 4 weeks in them, okay? And you have to offset that when you're thinking about how I structure my billing cycle, okay? Because a lot of people look at this like it's just a money grab. And I'm like, no, you're not aware that you're spending more money than you're collecting. Okay? It's very different. Okay? So you need to think about that when you design it. And most of us design a membership that is actually not a great deal for us. Okay? It's a good deal for the end user, but it's not a good deal for us. And the best transactions are the ones where both parties win. Okay? Those are the best transactions. Those are the ones that we want to design. Okay, discounts, okay? This is most gyms, right? There's a discount for literally everything. Be like, hey, you wake up on Tuesdays, discount for you. Good job, right? Occupation, everything, okay? When you design a discount, it should be designed logically. Occupational discounts, however you feel about them, are not logical, okay? I'm not gonna go to war with you about LEO and military and all that stuff. I am former military, right? But if I offered a military discount where I live, I would just be saying, I'm going to decrease revenue by 15%, right off the top, okay? That makes no sense, okay? So if you're gonna design a discount, make one that is structured so that you both win, right? Things like, hey, I'm gonna put in some sort of agreement where if you're gonna be here for 12 months, you get a cheaper price, okay? Or pay me up front, 6 months, 12 months in advance, I'll give you a cheaper price. But that is good for both of us, right? I'm gonna give you a cheaper price because you agree to be here longer, or you're gonna give me a larger sum of money, so I'll give you a discount. We both win here, okay? So when you're thinking about discounts, you need to think about that stuff. Referrals, I'm happy to give you a discount if you bring me new business. That makes sense, we both win. Paid in fulls, same thing. You're gonna give me a large sum of money, I'm gonna give you a discount, we both win. Okay? So think about that stuff when you're designing these things. Because the idea is not to extract maximum value out of maximum money out of your clients. That is not the idea. I want to be very clear about that. The idea is to provide them maximal value and get fair value back for it. That's the win-win scenario. Okay? The riddle is figuring out what that looks like. 5, establish your sales process and how to optimize it. And this is where a lot of people fall short. Utilize organic outbound marketing, social media, all that stuff. Anything that's gonna bring traffic to you, meaning like what your social media channels look like, how your website is designed, email marketing, all of it. And then outline the steps in that client journey that are gonna maximize your interactions with them, whether they purchase or not. And this is really important, whether they purchase or not. Whether they purchase or not. Because a no is not a no forever. They may buy from you 6 months from now. They will not buy from you 6 months from now if you never responded to them and you never followed up, okay? But if you do and you are relentless in that, you've got a shot. This is what most sales processes look like, right? The lead comes in, I email them, they join, but I'm really not sure why. Or they didn't join and I'm mad because they never call me back because I emailed them one time. All right? We need to be a little bit more intentional about that. So think about just a flow chart. Right? And if you can't read that, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna walk you through it. Lead comes in, I reach out to them, they respond. There is a yes-no action that happens there. They do, what happens next? I book a consult, they show up, yes, no, what happens? Right? And you do that for every single step in the process. There is a yes-no action for each one of those, and most people are not doing this. Meaning that lead came in, they're like, I reached out to them. They respond, no. Then what'd you do? I went to the next lead. Wrong answer, okay? You need to continue to reach out to them, systematically, of course. The beauty of this is just like looking at movement, and people get all caught up when we bring them into the level 2, and somebody's got a trash squat, and they're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, good news, this is an open book test. There's only so many things that are gonna go wrong in the air squat, and we can outline all of this before we even walk on the floor, right? I know what could happen, and I know what I could do if I see that thing. It's the same thing in the sales process. They reach out to me, I know what could happen if that happens, and then I design my sales process in order to match that. If they respond back, what do I do? Am I booking them into a consult, discovery call, whatever? That's your decision to design your sales flow. But I know that I'm going to keep working through that flow chart, and it'll circle back on itself. You design this, and either you do it or your salespeople do it, and you continue to work those leads. Okay? But most people are like, they didn't respond, and then they just throw them in a long-term nurture. Okay? Which is a short version for a really crappy email sequence. Design the process for you, and this is really important. There is no, this is the process. You need to design that process based on what you have available to you. Okay, so if you're gonna run PT first, great. If it's group direct to class, great. If you're gonna run 3 sessions, great. 2 sessions, 1 session, I don't care. That's gonna be dictated by a whole other bunch of things. But you need to design that process for you, the one that you can execute consistently and effectively every single time. 6, testimonials and social proof, right? Those brand heroes that we were talking about, we gotta tell those stories. We gotta tell those stories. I forget, there was a question earlier this morning just about, CrossFit's producing social media assets and things like that. Yes, I think they should do that. Yes, I also think that is our responsibility as well, okay? How many of you guys have some sort of amazing story inside of your gym of somebody that has did some crazy life-changing stuff? Raise your hand. Cool. We don't tell those stories enough. And I'm here to give you guys the bad news. We don't tell those stories enough, right? That is your responsibility. By the way, you helped them do that. HQ didn't help them do that. You did. Tell that story. They lost 100 pounds. They beat cancer. Whatever. Tell that story. Those stories resonate. Those are the stories that speak to the people who are on the outside looking in, who are on the fence. Speak to those people with those stories. So using testimonials, before and afters, all that kind of stuff. And you can use these in the sales process too, by the way. Okay. Leverage social media platforms, all that stuff. Testimonials, Google reviews, YouTube. Google reviews are a huge one. Dan and those guys do a good job collecting Google reviews. It's fantastic. If you're not putting videos up on YouTube, start getting a little bit versed in that, right? If you're not making social media posts highlighting your members for their 500th check-in, or they got committed club because they came 16 times a month, or they lost 30 pounds, or they dropped 7% body fat, or they got their first box jump, whatever. Those are misses on our part, right? Who cares if Justin snatched 225? Good for him, right? I'm much more stoked that Joy is down 140 pounds and did her first box jump that she's done in 5 years. That's a way better story, by the way. And that's not a made-up story. That happened in my gym 3 weeks ago during the open. Okay? Tell that story. Do this stuff when your leads, right? If you've got a good bank of Google reviews and testimonials, when that lead comes in, send them these things. Hey, I know you've been checking us out. Don't trust me. Listen to what Jenny has to say, right? Read some of these reviews, right? There's 748 of them. They're not all liars, right? Use that stuff to your advantage. And if you're doing a good job, you should have a lot of those, but use them in the sales process because people buy people, right? And while you are that, they're buying what somebody else tells them. We're like, hey, this is clearly working. They got a lot of reviews. I scoped them out on Instagram. It looks like there's some just regular people in there doing amazing things. Okay? Use that stuff during the sales process. And then optimize. I don't remember where this 7-step process was, but you guys can take a picture of that. That whole process isn't really the point, but you can use those steps, and however you design this is really the point. This is where I think the vast majority of us make a mistake. Automation is a thing. In most instances, what it does is just make us really bad really fast. Okay? What I mean by that is, do not abdicate your responsibility to follow up with somebody to automation. There's a person on the other end of that. Treat them like so. Follow up with them. Now, I understand that there's time and a place where you are a one-person band and you might need some automation in there. But at the end of the day, what somebody's gonna join your gym is probably the person, they hit you up, that lead form comes through, you pick up a number, you hit dial, and they're like, hey, it's Jason from CrossFit Rife. They're like, damn, you called me? And I'm like, yeah, how can I help you? Like, I'd love to show you around the spot. When can you come in, today or tomorrow? And they're like, I'm free right now. And I'm like, I'll see you in 15 minutes, okay? Versus an automated text that goes out and be like, hey, tell me about your goals. That is so out of place, by the way. That is weird, okay? So think about where you're using automation, but where I should be using systems, right? Systemizing that process rather than automating it is really where you get the biggest bang for your buck. What is the system that gives me that lead very quickly, that allows me to follow up with them very quickly, personally? And then you can automate things like the booking sequence, right? Because that's not weird. It's not weird if I get an automated appointment reminder. That's totally normal. Okay? Reach out to them personally. It's your first interaction with them. Don't make it a half-assed one. Figure out how to systemize that, and then you can automate other things. And then track your process to optimize it. So if you guys look at that list up there, we'll do a little test. So 12 leads, 10 contacted. I've got 4 consults, 3 onboardings, and then 2 joined. Or 2 and 2, excuse me. And this is what I mean by optimization. Most people are like, I need more leads, and they could not give me any of those metrics. You do not need more leads if you have no idea what those numbers are. Because the reality is we will probably find massive gaps here, right? Number 1 is you need to contact every single one of those people. Number 2 is what's happening from when you contact them, where I had 10 and only 4 of them showed up for a consult. That's 40%. If I get 100% contact, and then I can increase my consult, I don't know, by 20%, you're talking about probably doubling the size of the business in 12 months by fixing those 2 things. You don't need more leads, you suck at this part. Right? This is the athlete's like, I need more programming, coach. And you're like, you squat with your heels together. What are you talking about? We have to know these numbers, because what happens is this starts to highlight things that are broken, at which point I can go fix them and then optimize them. Okay? So you got to track the numbers. You already have a logbook. Many of you track your food. You need to track this stuff the exact same way. Big part is you got to work that process. I'm not going to lie to you guys, that is work. Okay? But you can make it easier on yourself, right? By creating systems, tracking it, doing it regularly, things will get a lot better when you do that. Okay? But you got to work the process. So again, recap, find your brand heroes, analyze the competition, develop your unique value propositions, optimize the core membership, establish that sales process, utilize the people already in your gym, and then implement it and optimize it, okay? And I'm gonna tell you something, you will spend, I don't know, probably 4 to 6 months just working on this in some instances, right? Like working through it, breaking it, fixing it, breaking it, fixing it. It's worth it.
Thanks for watching. If you're a CrossFit affiliate owner, we've got a ton of free resources and tools for you to help grow your business, your membership base, and your team. Just head to besthouroftheirday.com through the link on this video. And if you'd like a free assessment of your business and a planned out strategy for your success, book a call with one of our coaches about Affiliate University. We'd love to help you develop the business and coaches you need to turn your affiliate into a thriving community. Thanks for watching.